Hello, everyone. This is Jeremiah, W9JM, and welcome to Coffee, Coax, and Computers. And tonight's episode is actually about Linux, ham radio, and DMR, and how to actually get, an overview of the things that were involved into getting the AnyTone software to work natively in Linux using the Wine translator. So with that said, let me see if I can get the Zoom window to pop up here. Maybe. There we go. And
You've been wondering what Legree 2.0.
oops. All right.
Sorry, it was on my cell phone.
Oh, it happens. Um, oops, that's not the correct one. Okay. You guys should see that switch over to the Zoom window with me with the infinity thing there, right?
It was there.
Yeah, we saw the Brady Bunch screen there for a minute, for a few seconds.
Oh, did it disappear?
Yeah, it's there now.
Let's try that. Is that better?
Yeah, I think it's only there when you talk.
That's correct.
Okay. I thought it was on gallery view, so it didn't do that. Huh. Okay, well, first of all, other than hot, how are you guys doing?
Well, I mean, in the house, fine. It was pretty warm outside. Humid. Well, they say the dew point was equivalent to the Amazon rainforest.
Wouldn't doubt
it. Terrible.
Yeah. Here in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, northeast Oklahoma, we got up to almost 100 actual degrees today with a heat index of somewhere in the neighborhood of about 110. So
on my radar app, what was the guy calling it? Solar vortex or something like that. They had I don't know, had some kind of announcement they sent out on the email. I don't know, but it's like it's covering a pretty big area of the country.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that they were talking about. It was like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it was just crazy with everything going on. People getting into fights around town. Indianapolis is definitely not like I remember it.
Makes no difference what you call it. It's hot, humid, and muggy.
Yeah.
Yeah. People get irritable. That's what I want to say.
Yes. Somebody actually, what was it? Trying to remember what they called it. They said something about making sure that you don't intentionally tick people off because they're in a mood.
Yes, to smile all the time.
Yeah.
Be agreeable, yeah, yeah.
So, guys, TJ up in the corner there, he is actually one of my coworkers. He works on the sales team. And yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't there today, TJ, to answer questions. I was sick as a dog at 5 o'clock till about 7 or 8, and then I finally passed out for a while.
Yeah, I talked to Ron earlier.
Um,
Good evening,
Yeah.
TJ. Good to see you.
You guys.
But yeah, so a lot of things have went into getting everything to work in Linux. The 578 software was the biggest thorn in the side because it's built on an old architecture that I haven't been able to track down exactly what it's pulling the COM ports from. It looks like it's a combination of the registry and the /dev directory that's created for the COM port list. So that being said, let me switch over to the screen that will hopefully.
Well, I'm going to believe anything you say about Linux because I can't even spell it.
Think of Linus with an X at the end instead of an S.
I know, just joking.
So can you guys see the font okay on that screen?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of small.
Wee bit blurry on my end.
Yep.
Readable, but little blurry.
Okay. Not sure
That's
why it's
better.
being blurry, but
Yeah, it's better.
okay.
Just not
So
just not crispy clear.
It's terrible.
Right. If you put it on the speaker, click speaker at the top of the Zoom thing, you know, and it comes out pretty good, pretty readable.
that's why. Duh.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Will this work on a 32-bit?
What do you mean 32-bit? Like 32-bit computers?
Yeah. I have two. I have a Toshiba, and then I've got a MacBook from 2009. And although it'll run 64-bit programs, it's actually a 32-bit kernel.
Yeah. If it's a 32-bit processor only, then Wine's 32-bit version will work because the software is actually wrote for 32-bit.
Yeah, the
for
Toshiba.
the AnyTone software.
I have a tiny little Toshiba that's about 15 years old. It's really cute. It just won't die either.
So you're running Wine, so you can run Linux. That's how you know, the guy who wrote Linux. He says he calls it Linux. Anyways, so you're on Linux.
I'm on CachyOS.
On a Windows computer then with Wine.
No,
No.
Linux is running on its own hard drive.
Yeah.
It's a native Linux install. And then Wine is the translation layer in Linux to run the Windows programs inside of Linux.
Okay, so are you like dual booting on a computer, or you just have a separate computer with Linux on it?
No, it's the same computer that my Windows installs on. It's just two different hard drives, and when it goes to boot up, I just press F11 on the keyboard before it loads the operating system to select which hard drive.
I've done that. Okay, great. Okay, so all right. And what is the benefit of running these applications on Linux rather than just doing them on Windows? Is there any benefit to it?
Well, to give you an idea, Windows, see if this will, I don't know if this will resize or not, but right now my total RAM capacity is showing 91.7 gigabytes, and I'm only using 10.2 gigabytes versus Windows trying to take up 32 gigabytes for Windows itself.
Gotcha. Okay.
And this is with OBS
Yeah,
running
yeah.
and all these applications running in the background.
Gotcha. And it's okay. Yeah. So yeah, Linux is going to use a lot less
System
computer.
resources.
Yeah. Right.
And you can see the CPU load right there. It's only 5.4% with all the software that's running. Zoom, OBS, the terminal, Google Chrome, Thunderbird. I even got the voice to text working in Linux, and it works better than the one in Windows that's built into Windows. So occasionally I'll misspell a word, but you know, if it only misspells one word out of a whole paragraph that I got to fix it, I'm happy. Compared to going back and correcting everything.
Okay.
So
Bottom line is Windows is a resource hog. And if you buy a computer and people ask, how much computer resources do I need for a Windows 11 computer? I'm going to tell you, you know, don't even think about buying anything less than a 32 gig, right? And it really needs to be 64 or more. And don't even think about buying less than a terabyte SSD drive because guess what? You're going to run out of resources really dang fast.
especially if you install stuff like Adobe and Google Chrome. And one thing I figured out is with at least my version of Windows 11, what it ended up doing was it's all 96 gigs of RAM, and it's like, oh, I don't need a virtual swap file on the hard drive.
Yeah.
So it set aside a 6 gigabyte file for the virtual swap and was loading everything in the memory. And then when it would try and access memory that was already in use, the programs would crash.
Yeah.
So I had to manually go in and retune the virtual memory. So this is the console in CachyOS Linux. You can see this is the motherboard type that I've got. The Linux kernel I'm currently running, the time that it's been up, although this needs refresh now. The monitors, the theme, all of that, my processor, the different video cards, the memory, the swap partition it's already got set up, and it's got 2 disks shown here, but there's more than that. I just haven't mounted the hard drives. So let's see, cd/linux save /wine. Oops.
Oops, sorry about that.
/home/Jeremiah/ and here's all of the files, and you'll see right up here I've got the different wine prefixes. Right here, like here and here, and then there's Linux setup, AnyTone shim, all of that stuff. And then my development journal and all of that stuff, as well as the different city CSVs from Repeater Book, and where everything mounts to. So let me switch back over to me real quick.
Right.
And let me get to the right folder here, because evidently I'm in the wrong folder. Oh, it's in the Jeremiah directory, not the Linux save directory. The Linux save directory is the one that is the shared folder between the Windows operating system and my Linux operating system. So yeah. Okay. So Oops. Here is everything that it sets up when you do the first install of one of the CPSs. You'll see we've got a drive C. That's the virtual drive C that Wine sees, just like it sees Windows C:/. And then this is the script file that I had to make to be able to get the 578 CPS to actually work correctly. Because let me show you what happens. I can get this to let me resize this here. If I launch the 578 software from this icon, and Dr. Greg's already seen this, and it takes a second to boot here, it will show COM ports 1 through 38. And there's not 38 COM ports on this computer. Hopefully you guys can see this. But yeah, that whole list, and only 3 of those COM ports actually exist.
Sure.
But if I run the script file that I made to launch it instead, which is the, let me show you what it looks like real quick. This is what the script file looks like. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'll try and make that a little bit bigger. The wine prefix is where everything is installed, and that's the development folder. This tells it to kill any already made wine or already running wine instances. And then this one, it creates a directory called DOS devices disabled. And what it does is it takes anything over COM3 and moves it over to that folder to hide it from Windows. And then it assigns it creates the links for the respective COM ports. The GD32 one right here is the chip that's in the 878s and the 578s. The STM32 is the one that's in the 890s, and the Mavericks and the BTEC 7X2s. And the AT-32 is the USB-C one that's in the 168s. So my COM ports are always going to be COM1 for 578, 878, COM2 for the 890 and Mavericks, and the COM3 for the 168. And what it'll do is it'll run this command, like it says, start wine once, so it generates its nonsense COM ports, and then immediately delete the extras. And then delete the registry key in wine, and then it goes back and resets all of them before it launches the 578.
What's making it create all those extra COM ports?
It's a glitch in, well, I can't say it's a glitch. It's the way that the 578 software looks for COM ports. Because the 168 software, the 890, the Maverick, and the 4.0 version of the 878 software don't do that.
We call that an undocumented feature.
Yeah, well, that feature has had me banging my head a lot, which probably explains the bottle of Tylenol sitting on my desk. But this is actually the command that launches the 578 software. And we'll see this wine prefix up here. This is where it tells the wine prefix is.
So was it different people that developed the 578 from opposed to the other software, or?
No, it's just it was built way earlier, because if you look at the file version number for the 578 software, it's 1.21. And if you look at the 878 software, it says CPS version 4.0. And it matches the firmware version. And the 1.21 was originally created for the 578 Pro or 578 UV.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
And the one thing that a lot of people, and I've seen this a lot in Facebook posts and stuff, is this company sent me the wrong radio because it says 578 UV2. It doesn't say UV3 in the device info. And it's like, okay, the device info is literally saying it's the UV2 board, version 2 board. That's why it has a 2.08 firmware or 2.0 firmware. The software itself, you know what? I get an idea, so I can quit bouncing off my own screen. Give me 1 second here. We're gonna.
It's really the board revision, not necessarily the actual model number in the radio itself.
Correct. That way, hopefully that doesn't take up too much screen real estate. That way you guys see me in the corner here, so I'm not just a voiceover. But this fixes the issue with the 578 software. And the way that, let me get this real quick on here. Get back out of there. The way to launch it on here is actually just double click this. This launches the wine translation layer. And then it takes a minute to launch the 578 software because it's doing all that background stuff to clear out the COM ports and hide the ones that's not being used. So we only see the COM ports that actually exist. One of them being the COM1, COM2, and COM3 will always show up in that list, even though there's nothing plugged in except for the 578. And to give you guys an idea here, let me pull this. Oh, it won't even let me put that on the screen. Great. Okay. Well, it still shows a Phantom COM4, and that's just wine being weird. But the radio's on COM1, and as you can tell, that COM1 read from radio, read data. Hold on a second. I think I forgot to power cycle the radio. Let's try that again. The wonders of live streaming. Because everything works before you start, and then it flips out later.
But you're saying that the CPS identifies it as as a version 2, but the actual radio, when you boot it up on the screen, it'll show it as version 3 of the radio.
Well, the radio screen won't show version 3 in the device info. It'll just say UV2 because that's the board revision, is 2.
Okay. Okay.
And then there was the read from the radio. And then the tools still work. Like writing the boot image works, the standby picture, zone hide operation.
Are you able to update firmware from this version of software? Okay.
It won't launch here. If you click firmware update, it just pulls this up and you don't get anything.
Yeah.
But if you want to do the firmware update, once it cleans out here, you'll see I've got the 578 firmware update. I had to make a link specifically for it to be able to launch the firmware updater.
Interesting.
But it still shows all of these COM ports. So I've got to do the same exact thing with it in the link to resolve that COM port weirdness.
Yeah.
But it does work to update the firmware.
Okay.
Cool.
And you'll notice Wine shuts itself down every time you close the program. You guys can help me test this real quick. Let's try this. Let's take the launch 578 file. Let's do CP launch 2, and then launch -578 firmware update.sh.
Yep.
And then sudo nano. And then it will always ask you for the password in Linux. So we've got all of this again, but what we'll do down here is we'll actually come down here and we'll actually change it to the firmware updater. So how we find that is we can actually go back to, let's see, where is it? Wine dev, drive C, program x86, 578, and then there's the exe file itself, but then we have an update folder. And that's the file that we want. So, oops.
There's the name of the executable there. If you need that.
So if I come back over here now and just put a space and Control V, Control Shift V, there's the actual path that we want. So all I've got to do now is literally just erase back to that point and then put the end quote at the end.
Yeah.
And then Control O to write it out, Control X, and then make sure that the file is launchable, change mod plus X for executable,
yep.
launch -578 and then if I tell it to launch it, we should see it pop up and only list those 3 or 4 COM ports. And again, even with my computer, it takes a minute because it's doing all that background stuff to get rid of the non-existent COM ports. Yeah, it's going to take a minute to show up.
I mean, they don't hurt anything. They're just a nuisance to see, I guess, right?
There it goes.
That, but here's the problem. When you go down this list, it constantly refreshes if the list is too long. And if for some reason the COM port was assigned to a different number, like COM3 would be way down here. It would refresh as quick as it's doing there and completely screw it up.
Okay.
So, to prove this works, let me put my radio in firmware update mode.
So we're beta testers for you, right?
I've already done this. And yes, this is the beta version of the new firmware, by the way. For the 578, there is a new firmware coming, but this is the beta right now. And then COM1, and it's writing to the radio.
And just now is when you realize, darn it, I didn't have a copy of my code plug. Oh,
that's actually the code plug that opens up on launch.
Yeah.
So that I do have.
Sorry, that was supposed to be a bad joke, by the way. Sorry.
I thought that was my paycheck at Taco Bell. Yeah. And again, I apologize. I'm not the normal upbeat, telling multiple bad dad jokes. The raccoon that's paired with the low blood sugar decided to attack me in my sleep. So, and I am documenting all of this. I've got a whole thing that I'm putting together for a GitHub repository on all the steps, and once I get permission from AnyTone, I'm actually going to have a what do you call it? Distributable wine prefix that already has the current versions of the installers installed,
There you go.
or the CPSs.
Yeah.
One thing you'll notice here is all of these warnings. This is basically Wine complaining about the graphics card and not knowing what to do because of the version of the graphics driver.
Yeah.
And here's the COM port assignment that it found. And here's where it assigned it to the correct driver. And that COM4 that we're seeing right there, that TTYSO, that's just something that it automatically generates. I'm not sure why. And if we actually used COM38, that would actually coincide with COM1 because it's the ACM0. Because what we can do is ls USB, and this will show all the devices currently connected to the computer. And if we look, once I turn the radio back on, and channel knob in, and I'm just going to tell it to go ahead and confirm initialize, and I'll set the date and time later because that's already saved in the code plug.
Jeremiah,
Yeah,
can you share what 2.09 is gonna fix?
that's what I haven't gotten yet, is a list of the things that were changed. I know the AT version of the firmware is re-optimizing the firmware for the AT chip that they are now using full time in the 578. So everyone coming out of the factory has the AT chip. Trying not to knock anything over on the desk. And it's 8. I'm just going to set it for 840 and hit confirm. But the one thing you'll notice is it's not showing the GD chip on this USB device list. That's because the radio is not booted up and it hasn't initialized a COM port yet. Now, if I run the command again, once it sees it, we're going to see a GD that pops up in here. There it is. GD Microelectronics GD32. That actually coincides with what we saw up here with the AnyTone GD32. This is a virtual device that links to the COM port, or the actual device that this is connected to, which is that /dev/ACM or /dev/TTY ACM0, which is a serial device. It doesn't show up as a USB serial device, it just shows up as a serial device the way it works. And one of the things that I had to do was actually create a set of UDEV rules that actually grabs the device ID right here and tells it to create that link. So let's see if I remember how to do this. Sudo nano -etc/udev. There it is. This is everything I had to put in to be able to generate the COM ports to be static. And you can see right here is the vendor ID and then the product ID. And this is the one that we'll see, that 28E9 and then product ID 018. This actually coincides with what you see in Windows when you go to Device Manager and right-click on the COM port, and then click Device Info in the tab in Device Manager. And right here is where it actually creates the actual device. And here's the other part. I actually had to tell it to set the speed for the COM port to the 92.1600, because by default it sets the COM port to 9600 baud. So I had to have it set this manually every time it plugs in or turns on. It auto does this, so the radio will work with the software instead of getting a connection error, check link. So as you guys can tell, I spent a lot of time on the weekend and after work working on this. So let me hop back over to the Zoom window if it'll let me. It looks like we had somebody that was waiting to get in that I didn't see. So that is bad on me there. So as far as that goes, any particular questions at this particular moment?
So Jeremiah, do you know, are you the first one to do this kind of work on making the AnyTone CPS software run in Linux?
As far as I know, according to the person that I talked to at AnyTone, I'm the first person to go this far in depth and actually get all of the CPSs to work and actually assign COM ports that actually are static.
Good.
So
Well, it looks like you did a really good job. So
yeah, the one thing that I've got to check into is what the distribution rules are for Linux software as far as Wine, the GPL, General Public License, and the GNU, to check and see what I can and can't do legally as far as distributing all this as a pre-made package where you literally just copy or extract the wine prefix or wine pre-installed directory to your regular user directory, and then create a link on your desktop in Linux to run the script file to launch everything.
Yeah.
To give you an idea, let me exit out of the terminal and switch back to that window. If it'll be so kind to let me. Like if I run the 168 software, you'll see it says it's configuring and updating. And once it's done, doing that configuration, and this is in a separate wine prefix, you'll notice it shows COM 3, 4, and 5 because of the way that it was configured originally. So I've got to go back through and reset the COM ports for it. But if I exit out of it and then go back up here, properties, application, and we see the wine prefix here and switch it to the dev prefix. And then seriously? Let's try that again without it trying to remove stuff on me. There's the path, there's the file, /dev, and then get rid of the word test, and hit save, exit, And now it should take and pull up the software here in just a moment. And then we should only see comms 1 through 4. But it doesn't show anything because the radio is not plugged in. So
you know the answer before the question.
Yeah, I try to on this stuff. Emphasis on try. Doesn't always work.
But just to where I'm on the same page, you're running a pure Linux machine with Wine to allow Microsoft programs to run.
Yes.
Okay.
So the other question I have for you, Jeremiah. Sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Oh, and you can go the other way too, right? Something runs in Windows to emulate Linux.
There's a WSL that allows you to run Linux command prompt programs, terminal programs.
Okay. So Wine is a Linux program to allow Windows. Got it. Okay.
Without paying for Windows or installing actual Windows and eating up your hard drive.
Right. Okay. Sorry, just wanted to get on the same page.
Yeah.
So, Jeremiah, question: Does that have the ability to run? Have the 578 running in one window, and the Maverick in the other, the CPS software? Could you have multiple different the different versions of CPS for different radios running at the same time?
Yeah, let me find the. I'll turn the 578 back on here and grab the programming cable for the. Oh, that's not the programming cable. That's the cable for the DigiRig.
With that.
Okay. So I've got the Maverick on, well, the 890. So I'm gonna launch the 890 software here. And there's that, and we see it shows COM 345. Those need to be renumbered in the setup for this.
Yeah.
Because it's in a different prefix.
Yep.
And I'm trying to remember which one it is. I think it's COM 3. Nope. COM 4?
4.
Nope. Oh, third time's the charm.
Nope.
Really? Oh, I know why. Hold on.
You're in .test instead of .dev, right?
Yep. And see, it's not showing the COM port. That's because I moved everything to .dev and haven't changed the assignments yet.
Yeah, and now I got it.
So that's every time I make a change to get one thing to work, I have to go back and verify everything for the other.
Yeah, no, I got it. I wasn't being critical at all. I was just asking a question if you could run them, if they're set to where you can run them simultaneous. So let's say you got something running and you've got some setup specific in this code plug, like channels in a zone, for example, and you want to make sure that channels in the zone for the Maverick are the same that they are in your 578 code plug, for example, or your 168 code plug or whatever. That was kind of my primary reason for asking that question.
Yeah, that's what I had been doing prior prior to this, revamping the COM ports for the 578. Trying to remember exactly /dev/tty star. And right now it's showing TTY ACM1 and that's there. So yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly. Like I said, I'm not 100% right now. So
No. Hey, I'm not meaning, I'm not asking you to try and fix it right now. I was just wanting to ask the question, right? So
yeah, prior to the latest rendition of 578 fixes, it was everything was working other than the annoying 38 COM port showing up in the 578 software. So yeah, I could have all of the CPSs open at the same time.
Yeah.
And then, do the export. The one thing that was an issue was on the 578 software, when I would double click a channel, it would immediately come up with a out of memory error and crash. When I went into the channel edit dialog, and it turned out it was a Visual Basic 6 file that wasn't assigned correctly in the Windows registry, and I had to redo the Windows registry to point it to the correct place.
Yep.
It still uses Windows registry entries in Wine. So if it doesn't associate something on install correctly, then you end up with weird little errors like that. But it didn't do it on the 890 or the Maverick or the 878 or the 168 software. It was only the 578 software it was doing it, which goes back to old version of software.
Yeah.
The good news is AnyTone has already said that the new version of the 500 series software, whenever they get that radio ready for beta testers and the alpha testers, the first people get their hands on it, will be based off of the 890 software. So they'll be leaving behind the 578 software itself and going to the newer version of the software that won't have these COM port conflict issues. So that's the good news there. But yeah, like I said, tonight's pretty much just the overview on everything. And once I get everything situated and all the documentation put together and everything, probably going to take and go ahead and do another show with all of the documentation and the files that, like, the actual link to the repository with all the change logs and everything, to show everything I went through, each bug fix I found, and how I got it to work. And on top of that, TJ might notice this on the desktop screen once I switch to it. Look familiar, TJ? The BattleNet launcher?
Yeah. Does it still does Linux support BattleNet as well?
Yeah. It will
Still
let me
running?
run World of Warcraft, and I can run almost all of my Steam games in Linux without the Windows overhead.
What Linux are you using?
I'm using CachyOS, which is based on Arch Linux. It's basically a more refined version of Arch Linux as far as the graphical user interface goes, the GUI. It has some things specifically set towards gaming in the setup.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like I said, this is a work in progress. Once I finally have everything where I want it, then that's basically going to be where we're at on it, is the documentation. Because I've went through so many things, and at this point, I think I need to do a brand new wine prefix and document each step of the install process that way, instead of trying to remember from all the different files that I've got. Just go through and apply the fixes one by one and document it as I go through it.
Yep.
That way, it's a basically as I go log of each step, instead of trying to recall what each step was and then documenting the wrong thing, then finding out later it was the wrong thing and going back through, because that's how you end up with, pardon the expression, half-ass software like some of the stuff Microsoft's put out recently. It requires a bunch of Windows updates, and then, oh crud, my hard drive doesn't work anymore because they had a bad driver for the memory controller on the hard drive. Thank you, Windows, for that Windows update that affected a lot of people. Thankfully, I wasn't one of them.
Well, they also had a problem with their BitLocker keys. If you remember recently, where it locked people out of their hard drives, and if you didn't have the BitLocker recovery key, you were SOL.
But there was a way to get your recovery key. If you did the Windows install and signed in with a Microsoft account, it synced the recovery key to your Microsoft account.
It did.
So you just had to go on another computer, log in with your Microsoft account, and then go to the recovery keys and grab the correct one for your computer.
Yeah.
But typing that whole key in, oh my God, no copy and paste option.
Yeah, you're right.
But there, if I remember correctly, the one time it happened to me, it pulled up like a Windows Start GUI, like the installer, asking for the BitLocker recovery key.
Yeah.
And what I did is I put the recovery key on a USB and did Shift F10 to get to the command prompt, and pulled the text file up, and then right-clicked, highlighted it, and hit Control-C to copy it, and then just pasted it in and hit Enter. Yeah, I cheat when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, like just to be clear here, so your computer is really a Linux computer, and you're using Wine to run Windows.
No.
Yep.
No?
My computer is a computer that has 2 hard drives and 2 different operating systems installed, one on each hard drive.
Okay.
And then when it boots up, there's a boot
You have an
manager.
option.
Right.
Okay.
That says, okay, which hard drive do you want to boot off of to go to which operating system?
And I did that years ago. They called it dual boot, so I could boot into Linux or boot into Windows. Yeah. So what version of Windows you're using is 11?
Windows 11 Pro.
Pro? Yeah,
I know there's a lot of people that have said that they won't go to Windows 11. My software doesn't run on it, and so far I have yet to meet a program that I haven't been able to get to run in Windows 11.
Same here. Now Pro. Now I don't know about like home and all that stuff, but I always get the Pro.
A lot of it is 32-bit programs that are relying on certain visual basics that are 32-bit that you have to go back to Microsoft and manually download so it can find the libraries for Visual Basic for the 32-bit program.
Yep.
And I never realized I was going to get this far into learning programming and troubleshooting stuff like this. And the one thing that I did is I actually had to make a DLL file. So I had to figure out how to program a compiler in C to create the custom DLL file for the AnyTone software to see the COM ports. So that's the one thing I didn't show you on this one, is there's a actual custom setup API.dll file that runs in Wine. So it knows where the COM ports actually are for the AnyTone software. Because without that file, it won't see anything, no matter what I do. So, yeah. And on top of that, I actually, and I probably shouldn't admit this, but I found a way to decompile the AnyTone software to actually fix spelling errors in the software itself and then recompile it. And I'm not talking about the help file. I'm actually talking about the actual program itself.
What do they program it in? What language?
I believe it was programmed in C or C
C? Oh, okay.
sharp.
Okay.
But yeah.
Right.
But I'm gonna take and go ahead and call it for now because I'm still not feeling the best, and before I go to bed, I need to get some food in me. Otherwise, I'm not gonna feel good at all.
And the cat here is letting me want to know she needs some food in her right now too. So
yeah, cats have a great way of doing that because they're like, I'm not waiting for anybody.
Yeah, no patience.
Your whole purpose on this planet is to make sure that I get head scratches and food in my bowl.
So you got it. That's it.
And a place to sleep 99% of the day. That's a cat's life.
That's a cat's life.
And they enjoy walking on your belly when it's full. Your bladder, I meant bladder. They enjoy that.
That or climbing up on the pillow while you're asleep and then kneading the top of your head, making air biscuits with your hair. Or waking up to one of them nibbling on your earlobe. My grandmother's cat did that when I was 10.
Yep, they have their own ways, but well, okay, everybody stay cool the next few days, I guess. Sounds like, but it's great. Thanks, Jeremiah. I got it was really interesting, very interesting.
Well, you guys are quite welcome, and like I said, figure out when I'm actually going to have all this done because I can only do it in my free time. I can't work on it during work hours because it's not a work project.
Oh,
so
it's a hobby.
And just so you guys know, I am working on getting the store on my website set up for remote computer help. So if you're trying to get a printer set up, or you've got, a unknown USB device you're trying to track down, okay, I reinstalled Windows, what the heck is this thing for? This wasn't here before. In Device Manager, that's something I'll be able to help with. But the hours for that will probably be like 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock Eastern time. And then pretty much any time of day on the weekends, on Friday and Saturday.
This is not through Bridgecom, though.
No, this is going to be through w9jem.com.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So basic remote computer troubleshooting, and if it really gets intense, then I'll have an option for the, okay, let's take 2 hours and dig into this more than what the people at, that place with the big yellow price tag sign will do.
Okay.
Start with letter B.
For me, it starts with the letter W because it's definitely not the better option.
Okay.
So,
well, I hope this decompresses you a little bit, not have to worry about work so much, and you can kind of enjoy your other route here.
Yeah. The one thing I did was I actually got WSJTX, the HamLib software, rig control, and the Hammers app installed into Linux, so I can do logging for like POTA and Field Day. And then once I get all of this set up on this computer, since it's on a 1 terabyte hard drive and I have a 2 terabyte hard drive in the laptop, I'm just gonna shrink the Windows partition on the laptop, make a mirror of this partition over there, and set up the bootloader to be able to run this exact Linux install on the laptop.
Yeah.
So, plus using the DigiRig, I'll be able to do the G90 for Field Day, or not Field Day, but Bike Parks on the Air. So, with that, you guys have a good night, and I will catch you next week. So,
Sounds good.
All right.
73. Appreciate it,
Be
Jeremiah.
safe. 73. Yeah. Be
73.
safe.
Take care of
Thank
yourself.
you.
Take care, everyone.
Hi, Jeremiah.
Jeremiah, self is first, then work, then other things. Self is first.
Yeah.